in this house. There's some hoes in this house. There's some hoes.
I guess our music died. What the fuck?
Like,
the fuck happened here? Anyway, welcome to the Wednesday Locker Room, ladies and gentlemen. I am the Andrew Bello. We're going to get to this gentleman in a second, but as you can tell, based on the awkward production and the fact that I'm the first one talking, Billy Ray's not joining us this week. We wish him well. He's not feeling good.
I figured it out. Hold on.
There.
We're live, pal.
Right. I do a lot. Peter King!
Certified free, 7 days a week. That wet pussy got my pull-out game weak. Ooh, yeah.
Pussy. Swimming in it, baby. Anyway, welcome to the Wednesday Locker Room. Hashtag WLR on Hameen Media Group, on the PW Hustle, live on YouTube and coming to your airwaves via various podcasts at some point, I'm sure. Anyway, I'm the Andrew Bello. Now that we're doing this all over again, I'm talking first. Billy Ray's not here, even though he just was. Just ignore that. It was a figment of your imagination. Anyway, it is me. We might have a hoe join us, but more importantly than myself, obviously, if there is anyone walking this earth more important than myself, it is my co-host for this evening, and he comes to us from the island of Rhode, by way of the land of the Sun Devil, by way of the Denver airport, perhaps taking him back to the island of Rhode some point in the near term. He stands at 6 feet, 6.6 inches tall, weighing in at an unbelievably svelte 666 pounds. All fucking biceps. He is the master of the massive memories, the connoisseur of the colossal kajungas, and the honker of huge hooters. Yeah, that's still Triple H. I guess he's all right for now. He was Booker of the Year, apparently, according to the marks. Anyway, he's sexy. He's stranglery. Strangler Steve K.
Boom. What's going on, Bells? Great entrance. We're just you and me. There's no Billy Ray Valentine, right? Wink, wink, nod, nod, nudge, nudge. He's off in the distance, just kind of listening to us and just shaking his head and going, "Boy, this show sucks without me, brother. What can I say?" But he's feeling a little under the weather, so we're gonna take this as a duet, as so they would say in the music industry. But we're hoping that Colin joins us. We sent him a link. Colin, you can join the show if you like. And no pressure. We're just gonna pretend that we like all the things that you're saying. Then later in our group chat, we're gonna just eviscerate you and tell you what a bad idea it was to have him on there. No wonder the show sucks so bad. Blah blah blah. But no, come on the show. We'd love to hear from you. Hear your thoughts about the chamber. But it's been a cool week, Bells. I'm on like a kind of a semi-vacation right now because I only had a half a day at work today, and I'm off for like the next week, except for like I have to go in for like 1 hour on Thursday, which is weird, like 7 a.m. to 8 a.m. just to kind of make sure some things are going down. But
I've been there.
Kind of. Oh yeah. So like it's kind of cool getting to have a little bit of free time, and it's actually the whole month of March. Like the first half of it is very light for me, so it's kind of like a little spring break for me. So it's kind of fun and. I'm already looking forward to going to Mania. We have our flights and everything booked. The hotel's booked. Pretty much everything's booked and ready to go. and kind of looking forward to that. I was saying to my wife as we were watching NXT tonight, let's take a vacation. And she goes, we're going on a vacation in 1 month. I said, yeah, I know, but
I
another
don't know
one
that I'd
instead of
call
that.
going to Philadelphia a vacation.
I know. So it's all
Yeah.
about the location, right? You got to
Yeah.
seeing Philly as a vacation is not really great, but I mean, at least we'll have fun while they're there. But you ever get in that that mood, where you just kind of have a hankering for a road trip and you just want to get out and kind of stretch your wings and see where you end up?
I do. Yeah, every so often. And then I realize how much I like my couch, and I end up back there. Yeah. So
there's
that's me.
Nothing will beat the comfort of your own house, that's for sure.
Yeah, no, that's it. The exciting life of your God of Thunder. Couches, Kanye remixes. By the way, many on the way. Check me out on YouTube at the Andrew Bello, and on the X as well. You can always find me there. That's where the songs are getting posted. Speaking of the X, brother, we had some explosive wrestling community / politics kind of all colliding today on X. I don't know how aware you are of this Paul Heyman situation, but it's all I really want to talk about.
Okay, well, I saw you tagged me in that, and it's the picture from the beach or whatever, some high-rise condo or whatever, and it kind of almost makes reference from the river to the sea in a way,
Bingo.
like the way it was written. I thought that was kind of weird for a guy who's obviously, as we all know, is Jewish, so it's kind of a strange, weird thing.
Okay, all right. So then you kind of caught on to it at part 2. So part 1 of the story is originally some rando that I don't know how rando he is. Maybe, I don't know, he's a little less rando than me per se, but nevertheless, he's out there. He's on X. He happens to notice that for some reason, and maybe this was only on his personal feed, this happens to me all the time, is that he noticed Paul Heyman was trending ahead of the guy who set himself on fire in front of the Israeli embassy recently. And he pointed it out. To which Mr. Heyman responded. He quote tweets it, and he says, my tribal chief, the people's champ, Solo, Jimmy, and I set the ratings, the box office, and the WWE universe on fire every time we appear, and tags the network, tags the Usos, tags Fox on WWE on Fox, hashtag Island of Relevancy, hashtag WrestleMania, hashtag Bloodline. For the record, Paul Heyman is a fucking genius. This got everyone talking about it all day. So then he gets all the blowback, and that's when he posted that second one where he was, basically taking his shot at all the pro-Palestinian folk out there in turning their own kind of phrase against them. But I have many a thought about this, Striz, but I'm curious to think what now that you've kind of gotten the full scope of it. If that is the full scope, there may have been more recent developments, but hey, so sue me. What do you got on this?
Well, I mean, Paul Heyman is as old school as it gets. Think about where he came from, the Madison Square Garden, mecca of arenas, being trained by the 3 wise men of wrestling, Freddie Blassie, Lou Albano, and the Grand Wizard. This is what I would call a master class in trollery, where taking a situation and doubling and tripling down on it and getting your ass over, or in this case, trying to get heat, which is what a heel does. A babyface is over and a heel gets heat. Yeah. And he took a situation that somebody else brought him into. He invoked Paul's name, and Paul hit the ground running with that one and goes, well, this is a hand me, boop, boop, boop. Let's get everybody over. And he didn't just do it for himself. And that's the side of a true genius manager, is he brought the other boys into the mix who he manages to get, let the heat help fall onto them. I do think it was kind of interesting that he tagged the companies, the networks and stuff, because that's when things can start getting a little too real. And, when there's real sponsorships involved, you might want to, for me, I'd be like, ooh, I hope they don't get blowback, but he's untouchable at this point. And, he'd rather apologize later than be told no on something. So he's just gonna be like, fuck it, tweet, dive, repeat. And here he is at the age of he's got to be just kissing 60 years old at this point. He knows how to get heat better than any 25-year-old, that's for sure. I mean, obviously he has time on his side on that, where he's, been through the trenches, and he used to work in places where riots would break out. People say they think they know wrestling's a work or whatever, but even though knowing that can still rile people up emotionally to get the, what he's looking for. And all these years later, able to do the same thing. So young guys who may be too afraid, and there's a point to that to tweet something like that because it's political, and I don't want to show sides or whatever. It did exactly what it was supposed to do and bring eyes to Paulie and who he's working with, and it was great. And I can see a younger person not doing it because they don't have the 35 or 40 years in the business of clout to be able to be like, I got enough in the fucking cachet. I can get a little heat on this one if it brings eyes to the product. So be it. Because so there is that balance there too. But like I said, a master class in trollery, and that's showing people how you get things done.
Yeah, it was great, and the fact he like I said, he doubles down. He uses their chant against them. Also, mind you, I mean, look, for those of you who aren't aware, I'm not. I wouldn't call myself exactly a Zionist, but I am an imperialist. Like, there've been fucking conflicts. Israel's got that land. Like, fucking get over it at this point. Like, that's sort of how I feel about it. I also look at it from the aspect of, one side of this fence is fucking hiding their military installations under schools and hospitals. One side of this fence can live comfortably on the other side of the fence, where it would never ever be the other way around. It's pretty easy, in my opinion, to kind of point out who the bad guys are here. Now, not necessarily saying everybody's playing fair. It's fucking war. Like, no one's playing fair. It's war, and it's been going on forever. The fact that these two sides haven't completely fucking pounded each other into rubble at this point is sort of a miracle unto itself. But until this conflict ends, like, this is what you have to deal with. Like, this is just the way it is.
It's too lucrative a venture for that to end in any generation going forward. Like, war makes a lot of money for a lot of people, and to end the war, or to end up, even if they did end it by they all killed each other, that's the end of some good business, brother. And when you're a war profiteer, you just gotta just chase the stick, chase the carrot on the stick, and get you close. And then we have the treaties. And it's like with wrestling, why do you have rules? So you can break them. So that the treaty will break that. Yeah. And if you have any idea of how geopolitical stuff, trust me, I'm no genius on the matter, but at least somebody who can recognize patterns, can see the steps that people take, and like the money that's made, and just when the U.S. pulled out of Afghanistan alone, leaving $85 billion worth of equipment and weapons and stuff to leave in the hands of our enemies, that then go and get resold and kept and trained with our enemies, and now have our equipment. That's ridiculous. You can, if you have half a brain, you can kind of see this pattern happening over generations and generations now. And like, that's one of the things with the whole world having a video camera in their pocket, and things get taped now and let out onto the internet with social media that we never had 2 generations ago. Like the people can start to finally see these patterns that never could see them before. So in a way, like having a phone that's constantly on your person, and like the social media thing that never goes away, can still be used as a good thing, where you can educate people who just may be asleep to that kind of stuff and just think that they take everything at face value. And having something like that now kind of, you can show people timelines of, here's what happened, and this is the problem, the reaction, and the solution, basically, to everything that you've seen over that last 100-year cycle of that. Everything happens again in these cycles, 80-year cycle or 100-year cycle. And now, when there are people out there who will break all that down and show you, hey, these are the reasons these things are happening. I didn't think we were going to get into like a horseman level conversation on like geopolitics, but I mean, like, bringing it up, it's like it's something so silly as a wrestling guy who tweets something that it pulls you right into that world that we're living in there.
Yeah, it really is. I mean, and this is one of these weird things that kind of, it doesn't necessarily evenly split along political lines, even necessarily. Like, this is one of those issues where you kind of get some people on both sides of the fence that feel a certain way about it, which is kind of interesting to me, that it's like one of these transcendent issues that really, I mean, like, how much does it affect us? Like, not very much at all, realistically. I mean, I think our partnership with Israel in terms of intelligence gathering is probably incredibly valuable. Other than that, like, it's kind of like a money dump, but it is what it is. It's not quite
money
as
dump
bad
or
as
money
the whole
laundering.
money. Yeah, exactly. It's not quite as bad as what's going on in the Ukraine. Fucking Zelensky's showing up to interviews, fucking yacked out of his mind.
Yeah,
It's
just
just
hat in hand and begging for more money, and yeah.
it's silly.
Yoked.
Yeah, the whole thing. He just can't, he's like that henchman that flaunts his shit, like, right after the robbery. Like, he's gonna get them all caught eventually. Like, like if they can be caught, Zelensky's gonna be their downfall. This is what happens when you elect a comedian to fucking be a world leader. This isn't a Robin Williams movie. This shit, it doesn't work out long term.
Yeah. Now, do you have access to letting Colin into the show? Because
I don't. I just texted BRV to see if that's possible. But yeah,
BRV, if you're listening, see if Colin's in the
there
wings,
you go.
just waiting to come in.
And Colin, you just sit there in the waiting room like a good little boy. Okay, thank you very much.
We're ready.
You will wait until we are ready for you. What are you doing that's any better? You're going to be in the comments over here in Tuesday anyway.
I know.
You will wait until we're ready for you, or at least until Billy Ray figures out what the hell's going on. He could be. He might be asleep
he's
already.
probably in a completely different room, just like chilling out, watching TV.
Yeah, probably. He's going to come back in an hour and see if we're still talking. Otherwise, this is just going to be running on YouTube, or it's just going to be empty.
We both just walk away and say, "Oh, I guess they're done." Click.
That's it. We're done. That's the end of the show. Anyway, so I don't know. I think this was brilliant. I think this was great on Paul Heyman's part. I love that he doubled down. I'm curious. I don't think like Heyman's the type of guy that would like necessarily check with everybody that he tagged to see if this was okay. But at the same time, like I could actually see it in this case being the complete opposite, where he wanted like, plausible deniability and, and just put it out there and then double down on it. And we'll see if this makes it to television. I highly doubt it, but man, did he really do, a service to his brand and the bloodline, and everybody's talking about this guy now. I don't know if it's necessarily great that everybody's talking about the manager and not the workers, but hey,
well, it's the root. You know what I mean? This is the stem of it. It'll branch out, and if the boys know how to capitalize on it, and like obviously, if Heyman does have some links to like creative, which I'm assuming he does, he can say, okay, here's some things that we can get out of this to get us more heat, even if it's just a mention. Paul Heyman getting a tweet on X over the last couple of days, then at least it causes people to go, oh, he was. Let me see, and then. Yeah, it might be a little bit more cerebral, but you do get it out there, and more eyeballs will see it. And then
I believe he has deleted it by this point. Actually, I think the only evidence.
So maybe that did come from the office, like, "Hey, Fox just fucking called me, and they're hot about that. Get rid of it." All right, but he got it. It's like when Nancy Pelosi says shit about people, and then she says, "It doesn't matter. No one reads the retractions anyway. Fuck it. If we have to say something, the lie is out there. People will believe it, and fuck it if we have to put it on page 6." Nobody reads it, nobody cares anyway because the damage is already done. So there you go. And speaking of damage, that's here to be help destroy the WLR brand. It's everybody's favorite hoe, Colin Champion Wysong.
That's right. We have a hoe in this house.
It is with the government name. The full government name.
Well, I didn't want to call you Snoochie Booches in front of everybody. I thought that was just between the two of us.
Yeah, that is. I'm wearing the Panthers beanie today in honor of Cam Newton, who took on like 6 dudes in one fight. I don't know if you guys seen that video, but
I did.
6 guys tried to sneak attack Cam Newton, and he barely whooped all their ass.
Did they know they were attacking Cam Newton?
I believe they did, yes. But, a guy that's like 6'5", 250 pounds, who his whole career was him getting hit by linebackers and dragging defensive linemen. I mean, I don't know what these guys were thinking.
Well, he's got to be no spring chicken by now, right? He's got to be kind of getting up there, right?
Yeah, he's probably a crisp 37.
Yeah, I thought he was like in his mid 40s, so I'm way off on that.
Yeah, I don't know. He's
definitely in his 30s because he graduated college in 2012, 2013, I think.
Was there like a different Cam Newton? I think there might have been a hockey player named Cam Newton that I'm thinking of.
Cam Ward.
This definitely my brain remembers it as Cam Newton. Maybe it's the Mandela effect. So who knows?
I heard you guys talking about Paul Heyman and his former life of being an ECW. Striz, if you want to add something to your wrestling memorabilia collection, Conrad Thompson is selling the original ECW sign that used to hang in the arenas. His DMs are open for anyone that wants to submit a bid for the original ECW sign.
What was that, Bells?
His DMs are open. This is how he's selling this thing. I think this is not for nothing, in an era where there's a lot of sexual trafficking allegations going on around. Maybe you don't open up the door to slide into my DMs for this valuable piece of merchandise. It doesn't sound like this is going to end up being a cash deal, if you know what I'm saying.
Right.
But you mentioned Heyman, and before we move on from Heyman, another wonderful thing that I happened to see on the internet is apparently Heyman now has 2 cell phones. He's got one for The Roc and like one for Roman.
So bad.
Which is brilliant. Like, this is the type of shit that allows him to tweet things. Like, he tweeted the 5-star David tweet, as I'm going to call it. He just he just crushed it with this thing. And then because he's such a brilliant, just actor, writer, like everything about Paul Heyman adds value to this company. Like, they're not going to do anything. Slap on the wrist at worst. He will be at Mania repping the bloodline, rest assured.
Yeah. The thing that's the brilliant part about the cell phone gimmicks that Paulie does is, one, is like, how old man are you that you don't realize you can get a party line with both of them on the same call on one phone? But obviously it's props galore.
Yeah,
but it's
great.
Still a callback to his original character of being Paulie Dangerously in AWA when he had the brick cell phone in 1985 or whatever it was, where he used to knock guys out with it. So he's always had the cell phone gimmick. Now they're just smartphones. So I think it's kind of a neat thing that to this day, he's still kind of bringing that in as part of his shtick, which I don't know if a lot of people kind of get that when they see the phone gimmick. It's like he was the cell phone guy when nobody had cell phones. He had the big New York City businessman, $3,000, 5-pound phone that you could call 5 miles away. It was a big deal back then.
It was, yeah. Heyman's still a big deal now, and thank God for it. But I don't have a whole lot else on wrestling as far as because I didn't watch a bunch. No, Elimination Chamber was just over the weekend.
Okay, before you bring that up, about the ECW side, before we get too far away from it, you said it was at ECW Arena. I actually refereed there for ECW a few times, and I did a couple loops with them as a referee. I was trying to get on the shows as a worker, and you'd work out with the boys before the show, me and my tag team partner. And there was a referee named Pee Wee Anderson. No, Pee Wee Reese, I think his name might have been. His name was Pee Wee something.
A different guy.
He used to drive Sabu around, and Sabu was notoriously late because he was probably getting fucked up before he'd get to the building. So to heat on Pee Wee for not getting Sabu to the show on time, I would get Pee Wee's bookings as a referee. So I got to make a whole bunch of towns, and one of them I remember being at ECW Arena backstage, and I don't remember seeing the sign there, but it was a pretty neat place to be. But I wonder why Conrad is selling the sign, and I wonder what it'll end up selling for, what he bought it for, and what it'll go for. I mean, ECW is so far removed now. They die in 2009 or something like that, or I don't even remember. But not the WWE version of it, but it's been so long now. I don't know how many people would actually care about having it, or what they would do with it.
Well, it's hanging currently in his studio, but he says you can't ever see it when he streams because of where it sits above his camera. But I think he's moving to a new house or moving somewhere else, and his new studio is not going to be able to house the sign, so he's going to just get rid of it, let it go. But come on, Striz, there's a million marks out there that would pay top dollar and get into a giant bidding war just to own a piece of ECW.
Well, my buddy Josh, the owner of QCW and now Raven's Joint in Syracuse, he was a gigantic ECW fan, and I'm sure he actually probably wouldn't mind having that. He's got the bread to do it, so I'll have to let him know about that. The whole impetus of QCW was when we were watching one day. We were living in upstate New York in Syracuse, and my buddy had a school, and he had a bunch of really good kids with lots of potential. And New York State is really tough to run shows. You have to be licensed, and there's a whole rigmarole, and it's really a pain in the ass. It's very anti-business. And one day, we had bought the Rise and Fall of ECW on DVD. And Josh and myself, my wife, my buddy who had the school, and a couple other guys were watching this DVD, and they were talking about how they were the renegades of the business and how nobody wanted to book them, but they knew they had something in them that could draw people to the show and have a great time. And we kind of felt like, that feels like what we're doing. We're spinning our wheels here, but we have as much talent as anybody you see on TV. We could do all the same things. We can do that. And a spark went off in Josh's head. And he was like, you know what? Fuck this. Let's do it. And that was how 2CW began and had a great 10-year run because of that DVD was the beginning of it all for us.
It's awesome.
Yeah.
Pretty dope.
Yeah. So yeah, like I was saying, I guess Elimination Chamber happened. I forgot that was just this past weekend. But yeah, anything in particular on this? Obviously, we had the 2 Elimination Chamber matches. We got the big main event with 2 Australian-born stars. Apparently, Nia Jax also born in Australia. But neither one of them were obviously born in Australia because it doesn't fucking exist. But they had to have been born somewhere. So where were they born? It's a mystery. I'm not even going to delve into it. I can't say that I really care, but nevertheless, I like the women's Elimination Chamber match. I thought that was excellent. The men's did sort of seem a little predictable, other than like the little AJ Styles pop in, which was kind of cool and kind of reestablished what now looks to be the Mania card. But let's go to Colin first. Colin, what do you think about Elimination Chamber overall? Anything in particular that stood out to you?
Logan Paul. This guy is coming into his own now. I mean, who would have thought he would have been this good at this moment in time? I believe he's probably been grooming himself, doing all the fake reality stuff on YouTube that he's been doing for forever. But he was in the pod with a microphone, doing content, and then drawing Kevin Owens on the thing. Him walking up to Kevin Owens and Kevin just going crazy on the cage, like in this little pod and everything. I feel like we're looking at a guy who is, and this is going to be this is a lot for him. He is Miz 2.0, because if you think about Miz grew up in that reality show era where no one believed. Miz didn't really have a following, but Logan Paul comes in with a giant following. He's got all these fans that just love what he does, and he's made for the wrestling business. He's made for fake entertainment. And I am excited to see what Logan Paul is going to do for the next 10 to 20 years that he's going to be in this business.
Yeah, for sure. I wholeheartedly agree with the Miz comparison too, and the fact that he is so athletic, I think, is great. Making it that kind of like a 2.0, like he is kind of like almost a better version. Almost, I know that's crazy for me to say, but nevertheless, I do kind of think that might be where we were going here. I knew very little about Logan Paul before he hopped over, but the little I did know, I was like, oh yeah, he could do this. Like it kind of made sense based on the limited, amount of attributes I knew he had. And so here we are. And I think if anything, he can learn from the Miz by slowing down, not taking such bumps all the time. Like, cause that's obviously what's helped the Miz keep the longevity that he's had here. But Striz, Logan Paul, and then anything else from the Elimination Chamber you got?
Yeah, Logan did a great job. He's a natural in the industry, and that's because he's been a lifelong fan. Everything he did outside of wrestling, his YouTube thing and everything, is as if he had a wrestler's presence. I think he watched like Attitude Era stuff as a very young guy and developed a personality that was, in his mind, if I were ever a wrestler, this is how I would be. And now the transition, being such a naturally athletic guy, not just naturally, but also working at it. Look at his body. And doing the boxing and all that other stuff. It's like wrestling was just like a natural fit for the kid. I don't see him lasting 10 or 20 years in the business because he's already worth $175 million. This is just a side thing that he does for fun and clickbait and help promote other projects like Prime. If he does it for 5 more years, I'd say, dude, it's too long. Don't stick around that long because you want to keep yourself special. All the stuff. I didn't hear the microphone stuff while the actual pay-per-view was going on, and I was watching it. I don't remember it. But I remember seeing later, hearing the audio. Oh, this is me with devil horns, and it was like on Instagram. I saw it, so I'm not sure if they're promoting. I didn't hear the mic during the pay-per-view, but it was later. I saw it on Instagram. But here, a lot of people think, oh, that's good stuff. But in a way, him doing that is the distraction to what's going on in the match. And this is a grueling match, and everybody's getting hurt in this, regardless of wrestling being a work. It's a very tough match, and you're going to leave very, very sore. And if you're lucky, you don't get injured. So it's to take away attention from a match that you're really putting a lot of physicality into, and you're going to leave, limping. And no one goes back to the hotel room without something aching. So it's a bit of a distraction. But it suits his gimmick, it suits his character, and to have it as a side thing is okay. It's just they didn't focus on it too much during the actual match, and I'm glad that you had to go to a completely different thing to see that. It's just I think he needs to be paying attention to what's going on a little bit more than just being in that little world. Unless, hopefully, what it's coming down to is he and Kevin Owens do have a one-on-one match at Mania where Kevin either goes over. Actually, he doesn't have to go over, but wins the U.S. title from. At least there's the tension on the U.S. title, which is ultimately what's good about that. As far as the Elimination Chamber goes, there's a couple of points. It's almost like, without a doubt, Rhea was going to be on the main event. Mommy's on top. It just makes sense. They've been pulling that now forever, and I thought the whole week of the show, I'm like, they better have her in the main. My problem with it is if I was going to have her in the main event, I would have had her work Becky or Bianca, a bigger name, not Nia Jax. So I would have built that up a little bit differently going into the main event because Nia Jax got her through the match and they did fine. But people were tired, and it's a long night, and it's lots of big bumps. So when you have a singles match after two big gimmick matches, when you've seen every star under the sun, and then it's Nia Jax, let's be honest. And I have nothing against Nia Jax. I just don't think. I think they could have put out a bigger name there.
Yeah.
One thing I did notice about the chamber matches is just like the Royal Rumble. I'm not sure how you guys feel about it, but I felt like the women's chamber match was more exciting than men's title chamber match. So that's two big pay-per-views in a row now where the girls are outshining the guys. And maybe it's because the girls' locker room is a little hungrier than the guys right now. Whenever I watch NXT, I said to my wife just tonight as we were watching, NXT is like 80% women now. So there's a lot more focus happening on the women's matches and stuff. A lot of people are like, oh, F women's wrestling, and I don't like it, and this and that. You can say whatever you want. WWE is out there to produce a lot of content for the lady workers because, one, guys like looking at hot girls. Two, women like watching women have matches, the competitive matches, and it makes them feel like they're more of a part of it. So when you're trying to bring in a larger women's audience, the best thing is to involve more women in it, and they'll watch it, which only makes sense. So, I wasn't disappointed by the guys' Elimination Chamber match. I was entertained by it, but I thought the girls just kind of hit the mark a little better with that.
Yeah, no, I definitely like the women's match. Go ahead, Colin.
I did see a lot where Tiffany Stratton had a lot of positive feedback from her match in that. But to your point about Becky, Striz, I feel like I'm seeing a lot of Becky burnout online with people that are fans and stuff like that. Like they were kind of upset that she won the Elimination Chamber because they're just kind of tired of Becky as the man. I don't know if that would have anything to do with why they didn't book her in that sense to put her with Rhea instead of Nia, but maybe if they bitch enough, if these Becky crybabies, they cry loud enough, they'll change the WrestleMania main event and get Becky on out of there and substitute someone else that they want to see in there, like Bianca.
Well, I think the whole point of it is that Becky versus Rhea is a bigger match, and there's going to be more eyes on Mania than there is on the Elimination Chamber. That's just math. And when you're passing the torch, it has to go from one person to the next, and it's going to be sequential. Becky was the last big deal in the women's division when she's closing out Mania's winning 2 belts at the same time. So the natural progression to get Rhea to where she needs to be the face of the company, or at least the face of the women's division as a solidified star, has to beat Becky. So the whole point of having Becky win the Elimination Chamber match is to get them to Mania so they can finally have their face-off and have their match, where I am imagining in my booking world, Rhea goes over and retains for one full calendar year because she won the belt from Charlotte at the previous WrestleMania in 39. So here we are at 40. We have a brand new star. 40 is a big number. It's a pillar. That's solidifying Rhea as the most dominant female worker in the industry. And then Becky goes off to help maybe make a few other people before maybe she calls it quits. I mean, people have to realize she's been up on the main roster now for almost 8 years, has had her main events and has had her time in the sun. And now it's going to be her time to be a kingmaker or a queenmaker, if you will, and do for the other girls what has been done for her to get her to where she was. So I think it's just a natural progression of it. It's just that you had to swallow the win with Becky, whether you didn't want her to win, you wanted her to win or not, to complete not her story but Rhea's story, and that's pretty much why they did that, I would imagine.
I gotta say, to all of the the Mark Tards, Mark Clars, and lovers of Clark bars out there, if you guys are on this anti-Becky train, like, this is not just because I'm a fan of Becky Lynch, but know your roles and shut your mouths, bitches. This woman has been putting over fucking Zoe Stark, fucking Tegan Knox, fucking Nia Jax, fucking, she's been out there working the lower half of the card to try to establish somebody. She went down to NXT. She fucking made Tiffany Stratton a fucking star. Like, what do you want from her? This whole, like, Becky gets pushed too much. Becky hasn't been anywhere near the main title scene in like 9 months to a year. It's time, folks. And to Strizz's point, she is still the biggest star, arguably that they have right now. So if Rhea is going to be the next one, Mommy's got to, to be the man, you got to beat the man. And Becky is still the man until otherwise toppled. Also, I see a lot of the same criticism out there saying like she needs to turn heel. Wait till WrestleMania, bitches. Like, I mean, like,
they're saying who needs to turn heel?
Becky. Like, that she's just been babyface for like too long. Yeah, I was like, first and foremost, she already did that. Second of all, I think you do like the double turn with Mommy here. Like, Mommy's obviously over with the crowd. She's obviously popular, no matter how much of like a heelish faction they try to make the Judgment Day. Like, she's very popular. She's kind of a face already, whether she likes it or not. And now they just put a whole fucking show on in Madagascar, her supposed hometown, all about this with the crowd cheering. That's how the whole thing ends. So it's like, yeah, she's kind of a baby face now. Yeah. Becky may very well end up by default kind of having to play the heel a little bit here. Prove yourself. She can kind of talk down to Rhea throughout the course of this, and we'll see how this all plays out. But as usual, the masses out there just fucking this thing up left and right. Like, we could have had a perfectly good WrestleMania card, and you guys are trying to fuck this thing up.
I agree with you, Bells. She still has Becky still has a ton of equity in her, like lots of cachet from her past years. And the heel run was sufficient for the time. I don't want to see her turn heel again, but she'll, as a smaller baby face against Rhea, who is definitely a heavyweight wrestler, she's going to have to be more aggressive. Becky is, and kind of more heelish, just to stay in the match with Rhea and be competitive with Rhea. But I'm going to predict that they close out night one.
Becky and Rhea, I do think that's going to end up being the case. Although I know that match over the Bayley Io Sky match makes a lot of sense, but here's why I think the Bayley Io Sky match at least has a play. Bayley's more than earned her keep, I feel like, at this point over the course of time. Is she as big of a star as Becky and Rhea? Probably not, even still at this point, but she is the only one of the 4 horsewomen who hasn't gotten a main event spot at a Mania so far. Again, the work that she's put in trying to elevate, all these other women that she's been involved with, Dakota Kai, not that necessarily Asuka needed elevating, but I think the other two certainly did, at least as far as translating to the American audience and kind of being relevant in something other than just a token tag team. But we ended up, with her doing her thing. Also, you got Io Sky on the other side of it. I don't believe a Japanese woman wrestler has main evented one of these matches yet. So they could put that feather in their cap. Check a woke box. Did Asuka main event?
I don't think she main evented. Unless it was with Charlotte. I can't remember yet.
No.
Yeah, I don't think they did. But I think they.
But you do have Charlotte waiting in the wings.
And you've got Charlotte.
Charlotte's been there and done that. We're on the back end of Charlotte Flair's career.
Well, the one thing I did want to say was kind of cool about the end of the Elimination Chamber for the women. It just felt less predictable. Like, I kind of think like everyone kind of knew Drew was going to win the men's one, where the women's one was a little bit more open-ended. They got down to the, as they kind of chipped away at it in the order of likelihood, right? Like, they kind of like got rid of the first 2 women. Then you were down to like Tiffy, Liv, Bianca, and Becky. And then you get Tiffy out of there. As wonderful as she is, I don't think she was, going on to win WrestleMania. I think she did what she needed to do in that match to kind of shine. But then you get Liv, who's kind of got this backdoor angle with Rhea, where she's like technically the last woman who's pinned her. You got Bianca, who's obviously a physical specimen, and Becky, who's a superstar. And any one of those 3 could have won, and like I probably would have went with it. Like, would Liv Morgan versus Rhea Ripley necessarily feel like a WrestleMania, championship match? I don't know. Maybe they could spin it somehow. again, everybody seems to fail up in this company. She just got arrested not that long ago. Why not get him from WrestleMania main event?
Liv Morgan, you're saying?
Yeah.
Even when WWE is sold to the next person, whoever decides to run wrestling, say it's Tony Khan himself, Liv Morgan ain't fucking touching WrestleMania main event ever.
Probably not, but they do have this weird thing they do with her, though. She's always in the mix. She was like one of the last couple
banging
people
one of the
producers. Yeah, probably. No, there you go. He said
it's as simple as that. Sorry to say it, but
well, goddamn.
You see certain talents stick around for longer than you can't even imagine why they still have a job. It's because they're banging somebody, for the most part, allegedly. Now I can't get sued.
Fair enough. All right, so Billy Ray put Drew McIntyre, Cody Rhodes, and The Roc in our title here, so I think we should probably talk a little bit about him. We got Drew. Drew's going to WrestleMania, folks. Colin, what do we think about this?
I like it. I mean, like we've been saying, you guys have been saying, Drew deserves to get his Mania moment in front of a crowd, especially if he wins and be able to hold the title in front of some people and either be this weird babyface Drew that is shitting all over CM Punk until we can build up to a CM Punk Drew McIntyre match at SummerSlam or even WrestleMania the following year. Let's go, Drew. He's been doing great work. The only other person that I would put in that spot over Drew would be R-Truth, because R-Truth has been just killing it even more with what he's been doing with the Judgment Day and everything like that. Like, give R-Truth a chance. Let R-Truth just think that he's still got the 24/7 title, even though he's got the World Heavyweight Championship. Figure something out. But Drew's the right choice in this.
What if they tag and they could be R-Truth?
I would love R-Truth to have the world title and think it's the 24/7 title, so he's still like walking around like looking over his shoulder everywhere. He's so good.
Yeah.
R-Truth world champion for like a second. Can we do this is why the championship scramble needs to come back. We could have interim world champion R-Truth for like 30 seconds in the middle of the championship scramble match. And everyone would be going fucking bananas for 30 seconds, and then we could put it back on, somebody who should have it.
We also have to remember bisexual Undertaker is waiting in the wings with the Money in the Bank briefcase. So he could pop up anywhere during WrestleMania to come in and cash in on someone, depending on who wins what title. Who knows?
That's true. That's going to be an interesting thing to see how that plays out. But Striz, Drew, Seth, now that we know what it is, what are we?
Oh expecting? Yeah, Drew and Seth they're gonna have a great match, and they'll kill it. And I'm seeing Drew walking out with the belt and Seth going on vacation. I know you got to figure Seth's taking a vacation. I've been saying that for weeks and weeks now, and he's way overdue. So is Becky. This seems like a perfect storm of nights where they both end up doing the favors because it's just their turn to do that, and they both take a nice, wonderful 6-month family vacation somewhere and get to both recover and spend time with their family. It almost works itself out perfectly, and it sets up great business for Rhea being the new face of the ladies. Drew getting his moment in the sun after being the COVID champion. It just kind of makes sense, and it sets up perfectly for SummerSlam for Drew to work Punk for the belt. When Punk gets his comeback, they have their heat already laying in now. It's at a simmering point where they're just going to keep that going, and then Punk takes the belt to SummerSlam or at the nearest, earliest convenience. I imagine I think that'd be a great main event for SummerSlam, and it seems like it works itself out perfectly when you think about it. So, seems like the road to WrestleMania is already paved, and I'm already thinking, how do we get around this and we get to SummerSlam, and that's kind of like how I forecast that.
Yeah, I just kind of had a crazy idea as you were talking about it, as I was thinking back to moments ago when I was talking about Rhea Ripley essentially having a face turn. What if we end up in a situation where the whole Judgment Day turns face, right? We got Seth is kind of baby face going into this thing with Drew. Drew wins, and then Damien bisexual Undertaker comes running out, cashes in. And by the way, it looks like Dominic might be trying to challenge Gunther. Could we end up in a situation where Judgment Day ends night one holding all the gold?
Never say never. I could see pretty much the breakup of Judgment Day after Mania. Rhea's got her thing with the world title. She's officially a babyface. she has to have this angle with Dominic and figure out where he's going to lay and all of that. Priest does whatever he's going to do, possibly Intercontinental title cash in. That's what I kind of picture. Whether he wins it or not, that is irrelevant, but that's kind of where I see that going. And then that leaves, Finn and JD McDonough to be a tag because they're longtime good buddies and would probably be a fantastic tag team. They can stay in the tag division, either have the belts or not, or chase them, and because whoever beats Damian and Finn, that Damian goes after the Intercontinental division.
I actually
Finn
don't know that. I don't know that Finn signed beyond WrestleMania, and at least the last I was reading about it.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Well, for JD McDonough's sake, I hope Finn is, because I could see them being like, all right, we don't need you anymore because you were just pretty much, we hired you because your friend wouldn't shut the fuck up about it. And so, not like he's making any big waves, and is only there basically as a comic relief to talk about his great big bobble in the head. That's about all he offers. I know you were a big fan of him in NXT UK, but right. I don't know. I just think some guys, I don't know, are better when they're bigger fish in smaller ponds, and I think he might be one of those guys.
Yeah.
He actually cut a promo on Billo.
He did. He cut a promo on me.
He told me he was going
to catch my punk ass down the road. Shout outs to old Athers. Hope he's listening. Hope he's well. But yeah, we've got Jordan Devlin. Like I could almost see The Office being like, why do we need Finn Balor? We've got Jordan Devlin. Like I can almost see like somebody in their office like kind of seeing them as basically the same guy. But
they'll do it for fucking 60% less.
Bingo. He's Wish.com Finn Balor basically, so they could just plug him right in there. And
great value.
Absolutely. But yeah, when you see him standing next to R-Truth even, or God, fucking bisexual Undertaker for that matter, like, yeah, Jordan Devlin doesn't, he doesn't look all that scary standing next to the big boys. He was great in NXT UK. He was great. It would have been great in a world where they actually did like a cruiserweight division and kept it, on the up and up. But it's just
there is a
laughing stock of Judgment Day.
There is a current conversation going on in my household about how I would reintroduce the Cruiserweight Championship to the main roster in WWE or even in NXT. I think there's definitely a call for it. I know everyone's like, more titles, oh my God. But once they get out everything, if they can get the world titles down to one thing, they get the tag titles down into one guy, just get rid of the extra belts, and they kind of start consolidating some shit. I think there's more than enough room and more than enough talent to support it. They, like Tyler Bate and Dunn, they're just in a random tag team that really, I know they just kind of kicked it off, but there's so many guys who are under 210, 205, even under 200 pounds that would have fantastic matches, and it just gives them something to kind of have something to have an angle over, to fight over. I think there's more than enough room for it, especially if they kind of floated it between shows where it could be anywhere. There's definitely enough guys that could make a run for that if they booked it in a serious position, which they always seem like they have the best intentions with it, and ends up being kind of like a joke towards the end. But if they could just keep it serious with great talent, like, tell me who wouldn't want to see a Chad Gable run as the Cruiserweight champion? The guy he's like a mini Kurt Angle and could definitely be a great pillar stone in that kind of the Cruiserweight community, if you will.
Yeah, he's got good people that he could go against in that too. He's got Gargano, he's got Ciampa.
Yeah,
throw Dom in the mix every once in a while. So there are a lot of good matches that, as you said, that could happen down in that under 205 weight class.
Yeah.
Do they go back and do the Cruiserweight Classic and 205 Live and all that sort of stuff again, or is it just open the show like Nitro? They just do something like that.
I have to say, I was really I was gung ho for the 205 Live show, and I never really ended up getting around to fitting it into my watching schedule. But at least it showed at the time they were willing to put something behind it. And they used to change the ropes to purple when they bring the title up on TV. They put some work behind it. That takes effort. That takes a lot of manpower to do that kind of stuff. So it started out in the right idea, and it just didn't turn into anything. But like 14-year-old me loves 205 Live. The fact that they were even touring it as its own brand and then doing some 205 Live / NXT house shows. I love like off-brand shit and like random like minutia and like a niche of a niche of a niche, and it's right up my alley to have that kind of weird shit. It's just I almost feel like there should be a market for that. It's just you're gonna in my mind, it draws like an indie. Like you maybe get 500 people, you maybe get 800 people if you build it up a little bit. But it kind of maybe for WWE comes off looking a little too small time. But I think the people who love it would support the shit out of it.
Absolutely. Anyway, like I said before, Billy Ray put The Roc and Cody in our title here on YouTube, so I guess we should talk about them. Obviously, I'd love to talk more about the People's Champion, but I don't really want to talk about the other guy at all. So I don't have many thoughts on this. It is kind of interesting that he called him out. It's starting to wonder, Cody calling out The Roc. That is, I'm starting to wonder, are these guys going to be doing some sort of double duty? Are they going to do that bullshit tag match with Roman and Rock versus Seth and Cody night one, and then let something play out the next night or whatever the case may be? I kind of hope they don't do that, mostly for Seth's sake, but I don't really want to see Cody twice either. Less is more. And
Right.
By the way, you already fucked up and ruined The Rock versus Roman, so don't try to make up for it now. Just fucking, you made your bed, lie in it. I don't need to be overexposed to this fucking Slim Shady wannabe. But Striz, what do you think before we go to Colin?
Well, I'll tell you what my wife was just saying earlier tonight. Right, maybe it was during Raw on Monday. They should have just went with what they fucked Cody out of the thing, and it was going to be The Rock versus Roman. They should have just pushed forward with that and just taken the booze, because when you see the ratings on paper, the actual real numbers, The Rock is bringing numbers to the TV show, and he's bringing people back that haven't watched for a while, and that is interest, and that's money. What sounds bigger, Roman Reigns versus The Roc, or Roman Reigns versus Cody Rhodes in a rematch? The Roc. Then the show is, yes, the show sells itself out, but it could get more people to watch Mania on Peacock, which could be to lead to subscriptions and yada yada yada. They should have just pushed through it. And when she was making the argument, I go, you know what? I think you're right. But like us, the Cody crybabies, if you will, and I'm certainly, as everybody knows, I'm not like pushing for Cody because I can hardly effing stand the guy. I was like, well, they take a shit on the entire year's business, 2 years business, really, when you think about it, because The Roc was supposed to do that match at Mania 39, and they didn't. They fucked it then, and they fucked it again this year. So we'll give Cody his match. He earned it. He's worked the whole year. He had to work with Lesnar 100 times. God damn it, the kid's fucking bled for this thing. Let him have it. But, it's like one of those things you can just go back and forth and say which is right. But at the end of the day, and I hate that expression, but it's at the end of the day, what's going to do more business? And the answer is The Roc. So I don't want the extra shit that the Cody and Seth tag versus the Roman and Rock tag. I don't want any of that. It's just going to muddy the waters further. And then something happen when the Rock elbowed Roman in the nose by accident during this tag match. It's like, ugh, it just gets too wrestling, and you just see these things a mile away, and you go, oh, for the love of God, why didn't you just stick with what you had? But they pivoted, and it seems like every week there's another scenario coming up on how to make this fucking worse. And I don't want that tag match. I don't want Triple H physically involved in anything with The Roc. Let that be what it is. It's done. The pacemaker, the whole thing, you're done. That's it. I know you still want to be involved. Hey, I'm 50 years old. I'd love to be involved. It's not happening. And, you got to be good with it at some point. You know what I mean? Like, just put it away. So I guess what it comes down to, sorry to drone on about it, is I guess it makes the most sense that they would have just stuck with, when they made the decision, it's going to be The Roc and Roman. This is it. We've made our bed. The Roc's been on television on these shows. This is going to be the match. And then it's not. We all look like fucking idiots. There's egg on all of our faces now. We're all guilty of this crime. They should have just said, fuck it, we're going with it. If those fags want to fucking, and I say that obviously as a term of endearment, hell, I'm half a fag myself. Like, if they want to go out there and cry during the match and boo, let them do it. But this is the money. This is where we're going with, and that's just how it's going to be.
Fair enough. Colin.
Well, I hear what you're saying, Striz, and I like what you're saying. But for WrestleMania 39, I'm not putting that on the WWE. Putting that on The Roc. Putting that on The Roc. because
I do
he's
too.
too big of a movie star. He wanted all this. He probably wanted more money than what Vince was willing to
What was
pay
that?
him. And
What was
now
that?
that
He's what?
he was a big movie star.
It's too big of a star, Colin.
Too big, yeah. Yeah, but I feel like he needs this now because I feel like this is going to reset him, hopefully for Hollywood, where he will be like, you know what, I can take a role where I can be the bad guy, where I can get beat up, and that might help rejuvenate his Hollywood career to a fact where he will let Black Adam get his ass kicked by Shazam as the way it should, right? But I can't put any of the blame for anything. We should have already had Rock and Roman at WrestleMania 39. So for the Cody Crybabies to come out and change the main event, we're still going to get Rock and Roman. Yeah, it's probably not when we wanted it, but we didn't get it when we wanted it because we wanted it last year, and The Rock screwed that up for everybody.
Yeah.
And
Ego.
in all reality, I'm excited for this match, but I really want to see what LA Knight and AJ will probably do at WrestleMania. Honestly, I want to see what kind of match Logan Paul and KO are probably going to have at WrestleMania. I'm kind of tired of the storyline. I feel like we already know what's going to happen. Cody's probably going to win. Then we're going to get set up for Rock and Roman at 41. It's like you said, it's wrestle by numbers. You can already see it's coming from a mile away. So let me just look at other things that we've got coming. We've got Tama Tonga supposedly coming back.
Cares?
We've got Ty Dillinger back in NXT. So there's a lot of good things that we can look forward to in the future, as well as getting Cody to win this title and be who Cody is. Because I feel like they're setting up Cody to be the next John Cena. If you've seen a lot of the things that he's doing outside of the cameras, he's gender reveal. He's doing the best man at that dude's wedding.
How dare you assume that baby's gender?
He's bringing a lot of the stuff that they used to do at the end of AEW shows over to the WWE to give people that 5 or 10
over the years, but yeah, I know what you're saying.
No, they have. No, but I mean, yeah, because they had the Booker T doing the Spinaroonie stuff with everybody when they tried to get Taker and all that. But they're kind of bringing it back now and showing it to people so that you can see, hey, we are a fan-friendly organization. Cool we are
not just, I wonder why that is. Hey, fishing for some good press these days, it seems.
Exactly.
They need it.
Please don't waste your time, Colin, being excited for Tama Tonga and Sean Spears. So, a lot of guys I like that. Those level guys, and there's nothing wrong with it. It's a great job, and they're going to make a killing. They make a ton of money, more than they would working at Target, that's for sure. But they're going to be filler, and that's literally the only reason they're there is to help get other guys over. And there's nothing wrong with it. It's a great job, and they can be utility players and really help out in the pinch and do some good time on TV, and that's fine. But to think like, oh, they're going to really start building around them, that's absolutely not going to happen, especially Sean Spears, who's already been there. He started in OVW like 16 years ago. They're not going to start pushing this youngster, Sean Spears. That's the favorite hire to Cody, just like, any other favorite hire like JD McDonough. He's going to be JD McDonough on NXT. That's it. That's all it is. But there's another point I was going to make with The Rock. This is my prediction at the end of Mania. You're going to be seeing two guys in the ring holding the title up. It's going to be The Rock holding up Cody's hand with the belt in between the two of them, because The Rock's ego is so big that he can't not be a part of that last moment. And then he's going to make it look how big of a star I am. I'm passing the torch. Here, kid, have the ring all to yourself. You've earned it. They'll have that shot of him on the floor. Oh, big salute. Oh, love you, bro. I was on your side the whole time. But because in his head, it's like, I'm giving him the rub. Now he's a star. Fuck you, bro.
They had fucking Brock Lesnar hug this guy. I'm worried The Rock's going to drop to his knees in the middle of the ring at the conclusion of this thing.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, for fuck's sake, how much more
do you should do
this guy's ass for what? He left you. Started competition. Why?
That's right.
Why are they so fucking obsessed with this guy?
I don't know. But when The Rock is holding up Cody's hand, they should be, yeah. And then The Rock turns his back. Cody nut shots The Rock and takes him and shit cans him over the top rope. Gives him the double fuck you. And then that will be the fucking pop. And that's The Rock who should be eating crow at the end of that, because he fucked up the last 2 years of Mania. Is like, no, fuck you, dude. Get the fuck out of here. Then Cody is a star. When he goes, I never needed you. Fuck you. You think you're going to take my rub at the end of this match and say that you're giving it to me. Sorry, pal. Get the fuck out of here.
I am really looking forward to Cody's heel run. That much I will say. I don't know that I'm necessarily
That
gonna love
become a
it
huge
when it
baby
happens.
face.
I
Doing
just
that to
hate.
The Rock, not shutting The Rock, and
Well, no, I'm
that's
just
not-
talking about just in general. Like, I am looking forward to the day, like, because I think like if he does win this title, if they don't have Priest cash in on him, like a heel turn is coming pretty quickly around the corner. Like, I feel like that would just be, again, the guy's a nightmare. Like, right? Like, I mean, how many, like, how long does this need to drag on where it just doesn't make any sense? He's a natural heel. He looks like a heel. He even when he's doing babyface shit, it feels disingenuous to the
Yes,
point to
God.
where there's a heel deep inside this man.
Because he's a terrible person.
He is a terrible person, although
is.
he did cure racism, so there is that.
Yeah, he certainly did. And by the way, I have been talking about the heel Cody turn for a while now, and the best way to do it is if they decide to keep the belt on Roman in a clean pin at Mania, and that drives him so nuts, Cody, that he just grows the hair out, grows the beard out, and he becomes desperate Cody Rhodes, and where he'll just hold on to Roman's head and just beat the ever-living piss out of him. Not to Cody, hey, look at my wrist. Not only do I have a wristwatch, I also have a pocket watch. And I have a freaking revolver in my garter belt and on my sock because I'm from 1912. He looks like a paper boy from the fucking 1800s sometimes. It's ridiculous. It's completely not a look that you cannot relate to the guy with because it's just so stupid. Like having the fake teeth is one thing, I get it. But like the helmet of hair that's been cut like 10 minutes before TV, but never dyes it fresh except for once a month. If you're going to get a haircut, get your fucking hair dyed. If you're going to keep the blonde hair, make it look fresh every week. But the three-piece suits have to go. The fucking Argyle fucking double knit socks got to go. The alligator shoes got to go because nobody can relate to that. People who had to spend $200 to go to Raw and they're like, oh, fuck. Well, I guess we can eat cereal next week because my kid wants to go and see Cody Rhodes at wrestling. It's like it doesn't go into his head of, wow, this is a great look if I were a heel. But if he did actually become heel, I want to see him not in the suits, but like almost not like tattered clothes, but look like he's been up for 5 days in a row with that stubble and that sharpness in his eyes. It was like, I'm gonna beat the piss out of the first person that walks into this room because he's been just so fucking wronged, or like I'm getting desperate. And I said I was going to do something, and now I look like an idiot for not doing it. I tarnished my family's legacy. Everybody's eyes were on me, and I fucked it 2 years in a row. How could I do that? And then he just becomes a madman.
I love it. I'm like, there's so many possibilities here, Colin. If you can have it one of these two ways, how are you going to take your Cody championship? A, Roman wins clean this year and we run this shit back for a third round next year and Cody eventually wins. Or B, Cody just fucking low blows Roman, gets the cheap win, completely ruins 1,500 days of championship reign and all of wrestling integrity, goes heel, and just like out of pure desperation refuses to get fucked over this year, cheats, wins, and turns heel.
I mean, the second option is totally the way that I would want to see it go, because he basically had Roman pinned last year and Solo had to get involved. So storyline wise, he can beat Roman without Roman being able to beat him clean. So I would love, and it fits in with Striz's heel turn there. You get him the nut shot. The son of a plumber is really the son of a jackass. He's out here to fucking do what he's got to do. Stardust and everything. Fuck all of y'all. I am gonna run amok into WWE and be. Y'all thought I was clean Cody. Guess what? And I'm not. We get Hollywood Cody, where he just comes out and starts cutting promos on people and doing shit like that. Like, I could see the second option being the best option instead of Roman pinning him clean and us getting another story. Because then you're gonna get all the Rock crybabies getting on there, hitting their keyboards, talking about, well, we're supposed to get Rock and Roman. Why didn't we get Rock and Roman? Yeah. We need Rock and Roman. We need Rock and Roman.
See, as I was saying it, the second option obviously sounded better, but the first one is now like, just to see just to see that text from Billy Ray when Cody loses clean again this year, I think would be worth another year of this bullshit.
Fire.
Say that
The
again,
fans
Connor?
would riot like they did in the 70s and 80s at WrestleMania if Roman pins him clean. Like
So
you would
some
not hear
fucking
the end
Cody
of it.
crybaby is going to set himself on fire in front of WWE headquarters. Is that what you're saying?
Yes, and then
Yeah.
Paul Heyman's going to retweet and talk about how Roman's burning the house down.
That's right.
Here, if I were Cody, and you find out, and I don't know when they would tell you, the week before Mania or the month or the day of, or while you're in Gorilla waiting to go into the ring.
By
Because
the
it
way,
could be
Roman
all
over.
of those. It could be all of those. Because they could tell you a month it's going to be something, and it could change 90 times until then. Literally, they can tell you once you're in the ring, we made a change, and you go with it. That's why the referees have earpieces. If I were Cody, and I was told, dude, we want to get you there. You will get there, but it's not going to be tonight. I say, okay. I go out there and I do what I have to do. I do my job, do it the right way, go out on my back. But if I found out that was happening, I would call Tony Khan and I'd say, hey, listen, you want me on Dynamite this week? You take care of all the lawyer fees and I'm yours. You make me a top guy and I'll run we'll run this thing, and we're going to fucking talk shit about WWE every fucking minute of our programming until, the minute Cody shows up, he's not there on Raw. Where the fuck is Cody? He didn't show up. Has anybody heard from Cody? And you just go fucking completely fucking radio silent. Wednesday opens up. There's more than one wrestling family. That fucking place would come fucking unglued. The ratings for that show would easily triple for at least that one episode.
Oh, yeah.
And Cody goes out there and goes, so what do you want to talk about? The one time it would actually really
be the one time I'd like it. Yeah.
And people would be like, yes, fuck WWE, fuck them, he's back. Then becomes the top babyface player in AEW. And that would be the greatest thing that he could ever do in his career would be like, fuck you, WWE. You had me white hot twice. You fucked it both times. Peace. Let the billionaires battle it out in court and just put your head down and be a bulldozer and make some fucking waves in AEW. That's how I would do it.
I don't know if the AEW fans would allow him back into their home.
I think if they saw him coming, knowing all the bullshit that's happened in the last 2 years, if you don't, then you're just, we as people
these people are morons. They'd probably be mad about it somehow.
If that's
they got Okada and Mercedes Moné now. They don't need Cody.
Yeah. If that's the case, you make him a heel and say, I'm going to do the same thing that's been done to me. I'm going to take the championship that you people, love the most, and I'm going to hold it for 5 years. I'm going to hold it hostage, and no matter who you put in the ring with me, nobody's going to touch this unless I let them, and it ain't happening anytime soon. So, boom, you marry what you just came from, and you become the top heel. Either way, you're the top guy.
So what, Striz, is he going out there, like, if they say that he's supposed to lose the title to Darby Allin, is he, like, going out there and wrapping the knuckles up like Undertaker did when he wrestled Shawn Michaels? Like, I'm going to take this. He's not taking this title from me. I'm about to whoop this little kid's ass in this ring. Like, is that what he's doing?
I think Cody's a smart guy, and if the money's right, he'll do whatever he needs to do. If that was the case, like, you want me to drop it to Darby? Okay, I made like $8 million in the last 2 years on merch alone. Yeah, sure. Put the kid over. It just makes it hotter when I come back and take the belt from him in a month and a half when he doesn't get over. But I'm just saying, like, if Cody were to get fucked out of it this year and not win, and like you're castrated at that point. And not to say that's a bad level. You're intercontinental level, but at best at that point, and it's always gonna, no matter what title you ever win, it's gonna seem like a consolation prize at that point. That title is immediately devalued because it becomes like the tertiary title, even though we already know what that is. To have Cody have that, anything other than the top belt is seen as less than, and he can only be a top guy, or why be there? So if we weren't going to be that guy, and you go, they essentially, because they make these promises like to humiliate me for either one, leading the company beforehand or talking shit about it or throwing the sledgehammer through the game's chair or whatever it is. Fuck this. I'm just going to go make waves and let Tony Khan worry about the lawyer fees. You know, that's that's
Yeah,
I
but
think
he
that's the best
also
thing you could do. I think it would help the business.
well,
Both
while he
businesses.
was in AEW, Striz, he put the stipulation in his contract that if he lost that match, he could never vie for the AEW championship
So
again. So,
long as
like,
he was under contract, and now he's not under contract anymore, you got to write up a new contract. There's ways around every single thing that could ever possibly happen in wrestling.
of course,
Yeah,
I always
I know
thought
you
that
know.
that
I
was-
know you know.
I always thought that was kind of a good move on his part. Like, as it was happening, him not putting himself on top, thought like it kind of felt like a good move to me. And then now looking back at it, I almost wish he had done it. 6 months, put yourself on top. Can you fucking carry the weight of this company, this belt, all
That
of
might
what
have
you
been why
guys are
he
trying to
didn't do
do
it.
over there? It would have been really interesting. I think I'd be a lot more into his run now if I had like some confidence, some precedent to come off of. But it's not like he left and really carried AEW. He main evented some stuff. He did, the matches with his brother were fantastic. Don't get me wrong. I appreciated all of his work. I liked everything Cody did from the list up until his return. And then I was kind of just scratching my head like, what the fuck is going on here? And I think it's that confusion that has led to now my hatred of it. That and Billy Ray loves him, so fuck him.
Yeah, the list stuff was good because it kept him busy coming out of the WWE. He lashed himself onto the Bucks, which was a surefire deal.
Yeah.
And helped Cody way more than it helped the Bucks. The Bucks would have been fine without Cody.
And hats off to the Bucks for finally figuring out they should have been like fucking authoritative heels this entire time. Like it only took them fucking 5 years into the run, but like God love them, they finally got there.
Yeah. Cody made out pretty good in his deal with AEW. So, but maybe, like I said, he didn't put himself on top because maybe there was a little question of, okay, now I'm here and now it's put up or shut up time. And when you are the top guy, and wrestling is more than just whoever has the championship. But at the same level, in a promoter's eyes, if you're my top guy and you're my top draw and you're my top moneymaker, and all of a sudden, it's like when Shawn Michaels won the belt, and all of a sudden, half your viewing audience is gone, and nobody seems to give a shit anymore. And they say, "Oh, fuck, how do we get out of this?" So the TNT Championship was kind of a safe thing because it didn't really mean anything. It was brand new, and it was probably for him a litmus test as to, can I do something bigger here, or Jesus, maybe I should pull back a little bit and I'll do my EVP stuff and get guys over on TV that don't really need it or don't deserve it at this point, aren't ready for it, and it'll make me look like a baby face to the fans because they get this and they know I'm helping guys get to the next level, kind of thing. It's self-serving bullshit by looking like you're being like the Rock, pat Cody on the back winning the belt.
Yeah, it
through
kind
attrition,
of felt
I guess you'd say.
disingenuous.
Babyface through attrition. Yeah, exactly. It's all done with backhanded moves and ulterior motives, really.
He should have just stayed and stuck with the Stardust thing. Would have been better for all of us. Anyway,
I like Stardust. I'm going on the record to say I like Stardust.
Me too. I did too.
And his entrance music is awesome. And whenever it comes on in the car, I blast it. There, I said
it's
it.
Great. It was a good. I loved it at the time. I'm not even gonna lie. I thought it was great. But anyway, Stardust be damned. Let's get the fuck out of here. Colin, thank you for joining us. Ho of honor over here. Tell the people where they could find you.
You can find me on the X at Colin Wysong. And then make sure you check out the A Show every Wednesday, I think 7:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time with April Hunter and some gay dude that works glory holes in the in the inner city of New York. I don't know who that guy is.
Neither do I, but I bet he has cankers.
Okay, he got some new knee pads for Christmas, and he squeegees the floor and everything after he's done. Yeah.
Well, hey, gotta respect the man who takes pride in his craft. But pun on the pride. But nevertheless, Striz, tell the fun people they could find you.
Well, speaking of the A Show, I just got that back into my listening Purview this past week, and I got to listen to about 20 minutes of the latest episode, and it was entertaining. I like listening to April. It brings me back a little bit to the end of the last few days of Killer Kowalski's wrestling school, where she was training just as a beginner at the time. So I'm going to try to, now that I have a few weeks off, I'm going to try to maybe listen to a couple of past episodes, and it's good to hear Colin on a show. I missed him and Big Ray doing the ridiculously random podcast. That was always one of my funnest listens of the week, and so it's good to have you doing something on a show, Colin. You're missed. I always like your take on stuff. You're a very intelligent dude. And Bells is holding up a picture with me, Killer Kowalski, and Triple H from Malden, Massachusetts, from I believe 1993. That was in Gong magazine when they had
look at that
a couple
trio.
Japanese photographers.
Striz, that's the second coolest trio you've ever been a part of.
That's the shoot, brother. But like I was saying, it's good to hear they're calling on some shows. It's good to getting ready to listen to a couple A shows in the next couple of days. And if anybody has any good shows they want me to check out, I'd love to listen to them. I have lots of time coming up, so send me a link. I know Big Ray is in the chat. Ray, if you could send me a link on our Facebook Messenger feed that we have going of maybe the last NXT show or two. I'd like to hear those. It's been a while since I've heard that show, and I do miss it. It's a good show. But
you're getting a link of a dick now. You know it. Like, why?
No, he knows better. We had a discussion about random dicks, and
there was a discussion, folks.
Yeah, it was. So follow me on the X if you'd like to contact me at StranglerSteve _, and send me what you're listening to right now, and you can let it range from anything, whether it's baseball, real estate, investing, whatever, wrestling, anything that you like listening to that you think maybe I'd get a kick out of. I'd love to give it a listen.
And he says he's going to send you the kayfabe link, and we know you're never, ever, ever going to show up on the Next Level Wrestling podcast unless Bello's hosting the show. That's the only time you're ever going to show up.
And even then, he only invited me once, and it's because I was like, Bello, I want to come on the show. He's like, oh, fine.
I hate all guests on all shows ever. Just be me.
He hated having me on even during the show.
The abyss forever. All dozens and dozens of the Next Level Wrestling podcast fans. But yeah, that's pretty much it at this point in the broadcast. Billy Ray, I'm sure he's lurking in the wings because he's got to turn this feed off. He would tell me that he's going to catch my punk ass down the road. He would be wrong, as he always is. But nevertheless, anyway, this is an emergency broadcast. March 10th, the Ravens joint. Clay, New York, morons. Go to ProWrestlingTees.com and buy yourself a t-shirt, morons. YOLA! The fuck just happened here? That's like when Enzo. Weird. At least my milk is still here. Anyway, that's a whole nother story.
That milk drinking bastard.
That's that son of a bitch. Listen, don't come between a man. That's it. Don't come between a white man and his milk. Let's be very specific about this. Amen. But nevertheless, that's it, folks. We got nothing else for you. You can find me on the X at the Andrew Bello, and you can find us back here on yes, there we go, on the Hameen Media Group and on PW Hustle and all of that good stuff next week. Hashtag WLR. Hopefully, Billy Ray's turning this off now. Peace.
Peace. I like big kitties, by the way.